This is a Daft Dog production.
Anyway, shall we get on with the show?
Yes, let's do the show. So hello, this is episode number 4 of the EDS Podcast. I'm Zed. My co-hosts, as you probably know, are Sophie. Hello, Sophie.
Hello.
And Dave. Hello, Dave.
Oh.
Hello.
Why do you sound like you're coming from like the bottom of a well or something, Dave?
You do sound a bit wellish, Dave.
That'll be my microphone.
Ah.
There's not much I can do about it at the moment.
To be fair, ask a stupid question.
Yep.
And maybe I live in a well. What's wrong?
You never know.
You're not living under a bridge, are you?
No. I think it's something along the lines of if you watch a certain video, X amount of times I come out of the well. If you get the reference.
Oh, right. Okay. No, I'm with you.
No, I'm not. Is this a horror reference or something?
Japanese film called Ringu, which was made back in the early 90s, Dave, would you say?
Something like that.
And has been remade 24 times, needlessly, because the original film was perfectly good. The only thing is, American audiences don't watch films with subtitles, I'm given to understand, so they had to remake it in American to start with.
That's because they can't read.
And since then, it's been consistently remade, never as well as the original Japanese film.
Are they ever?
In fact, hasn't it just been recently remade? Wasn't it out in cinema like a couple of weeks ago, Dave?
They did make one a few months ago.
Yeah,
I
called
think there's going to be
Rings
another
or
one.
something.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Of course it is.
I may have watched it.
Of course you did.
Sucker.
Yep.
Oh, it was for scientific purposes. He just needed to see if it was anything close to the original.
It was for work. It was for review purposes, strictly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Totally for the podcast.
Yep. We believe it.
Yep. and Dave, your pithy one-word review?
Shit.
And there we have it.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad we got that cleared up. Now,
Yes.
moving on.
What have we been up to this week, Sophie?
You know what? I don't even remember. How bad is that? I feel like all I've done this week actually is work, which is probably true.
That sucks.
And yet it is sadly necessary for life.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Dave, anything noteworthy?
Probably not broadcastable on a podcast.
Oh, that sounds so filthy.
So just draw a veil over that and move on.
Possibly. Well, apart from getting...
Our lawyers are telling me, Dave, that we can't broadcast that.
Oh, shit. Wait a minute, there's a knock at the door. I think there's some black helicopters over above.
So, Dave's been up to nothing. Ed!
Well, I've had the utmost joy of playing with the new Kindle. I have the Kindle Voyage, which someone very kindly gave me as a birthday gift. And it is an awesome Kindle. I had an absolute bottom of the range, lowest spec Kindle, which I used to have, which was good enough to prove the concept of an ebook and bad enough to really suck. This new one's really good. It's got like a lit screen. I think it's front lit rather than backlit. And it kind of adjusts itself automatically. So you go outside in bright sunlight, you can see it just from sunlight. But you come indoors to where it's dark, or in a darkened room, and it just lights itself up without you even thinking about it. It's clearly sort of built better than the basic one, much nicer materials. It's sort of feels more solid and hefty. It's much, much faster. So you highlight a word, look it up in a dictionary or whatever, and the dictionary definition pops up in less than geological time, which is a big step forward. And lastly, what was the last one? Oh, they've gone back to kind of buttons, but they're not real buttons. What they are is like little areas marked on the case for turning the page. Now, you can just tap the screen like on your old Kindle, and it turns over fine, no problem. But these buttons, although they don't move, have a little bit of sort of haptic feedback, and they vibrate slightly. And I don't know why, but I really like it. It's just like this little... you get like a big button to move forward and a small button to move backwards on each side. So whereas you touch the screen, you tap the right to move on, the left to move back. But this way you can do it with either hand, and this little kind of vibration comes through the device. And it's just a very satisfying thing to tap the button, turn the page. And it means that I've almost tipped over to preferring to read on a Kindle to actual Dead Tree Edition. And for a long time, the Kindle for me was like a sort of hair-shirted thing in that I've got too many books, and so my day-to-day paperback reading, I'd be doing on the Kindle because I simply have nowhere to put another book.
Not without causing divorce.
No, not without causing domestic strife of one sort or another. So I've been moving my day-to-day reading onto a Kindle just for that purely practical reason, but not really enjoying it. But this Kindle is so much better that I almost prefer reading on the Kindle to reading your actual book. Almost. And
Blasphemy!
Well, I was literally just thinking, if that change ever does happen in your mind, I will disown you as a friend.
Oh dear. Well, thankfully, I haven't reached tipping point yet, and I don't think I ever will.
There's just something very satisfying about having an actual book.
Well, there is, and there's a bookmark and stuff.
That's literally it. That was your argument. There's a bookmark.
No. If you've got an actual book, having a nice bookmark is part of the whole experience, isn't it? Like turning the pages, the smell of the page, the smell of the ink.
You know,
one of the things I love
sad?
walking into a bookshop is like the smell of the books.
Oh yeah, they have a lovely smell. A new book smell is really good.
Oh yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's the first thing I do, especially with a sort of glossy colour book. First thing you do is open it and stick your nose in the spine.
I just love that you described it as a colour book. It makes me think that you sit there with a little colouring in book now.
Yes, that's right.
Painting by numbers or something.
Painting by numbers. I can't do painting with actual imagination. I get the crayons out, the blunt ones.
Yeah, the ones that cause no harm when you start chewing them.
Yeah. Those ones, yes. I steal them off the boys.
So you steal from children too.
Well, they deserve it.
I'm hoping your wife doesn't listen to this podcast, otherwise she might get grounded.
I'm sure she listens to every episode on the day of release.
I'm sure she does.
Quite convinced of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, Dave,
Yeah.
you've been to see T2 3D Special Edition recently.
Yes, I have, and it was fucking amazing.
I happen to know this, I should say, because I was sitting right next to you at the time.
Yes, you were. You watched me spaz out and throw my popcorn halfway across the cinema before the film had even started.
Yes, you did. I can attest to that. Half the popcorn, half the cinema.
Why?
I couldn't contain my excitement for Arnie in 3D. So,
To be fair, that sounds like the sort of thing I would do over Star Wars. So I understand your position.
realistically, it was over the logistics of having to remove biker gear.
Whilst balancing Coke at the same popcorn at the same time.
That is just so disappointing, and I much preferred the story that you made up.
Yeah, well, you can edit that bit out, and we'll leave the
I'm going to edit something
orgasm.
far funnier in instead.
Never, ever let the facts get in the way of a good story.
Oh, good Lord, no. we won't be doing that. So, did you think? What did you think of the T2 3D Special Edition?
Well, to be honest, the 3D, I actually noticed the 3D. It's the first film I've noticed 3D effects in.
I had to say, I kept taking the glasses off just to have a look at it not in 3D, just to see, because I thought they did a very good job. And I've seen some films that were supposed to be 3D that looked dreadful, looked like kind of cut out cinema, where each person moved back and forwards like they were on a bit of cardboard with no kind of depth to them except they moved back and forwards. But this, considering the film was made in, when was it made, Dave? Early 90s?
Yeah, was it 92?
92 is the number that came to mind, yeah. And considering that they have done a spectacularly good job of 3Ding this up, it looked really good. I thought the image quality was superb. It'd been remastered in 4K, hadn't it? Because what's his name? James Cameron came on to do a quick introduction.
By the way,
didn't he? Yes.
Terminator 2 was made in 1991.
91, was it?
Oh, I wasn't far out. Give me some credit.
We've got to get the facts right. Except when they get in the way of a good story.
Absolutely. So I thought the 3D was particularly well done. How well did you think the story held up, Dave?
I was quite surprised, actually. I mean, I've obviously seen
Pleasantly
it.
surprised?
Yeah, it holds up really well. I mean, obviously, some of the bits and bobs to do with like the technology that's used, like the computers they're using, obviously look really old and everything, but the actual storyline and everything holds up perfectly. The effects still hold up quite well.
Yes, the T-1000, which I feared might look, having not seen it for many years, I thought that might look really, really dated. It actually didn't. And I appreciate that probably because the sort of silvery, reflective nature of it meant that the texture load was very low. I don't know whether they actually reanimated that or whether they just got like a final print and then digitized the final print to work on. Don't suppose you've read anything either way on that, have you, Dave?
No, I mean, if you watch Terminator 1 now, which obviously we will be doing on our Arnie marathon, but
We're doing a Schwarzenegger-thon.
that's going to be amazing.
It is.
Yes, I do remember you saying about this. We're going to have to finalise that list.
We have a date for it and a penciled-in finalised list.
Okay, we'll have to review it later. But anyway, what were you saying about Terminator?
Well, the original Terminator, obviously, where the actual Terminators are like walking about and stuff, it's done like in. It looks like what is it? It's not Jason and the Argonaut. Oh, it might be Jason and the Argonaut. It's the film with the owl.
Stop motion. You do mean
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like the original old King Kong fighting dinosaurs.
Yeah, and it just looks horrible. I mean, you see the Terminators are jolting about all over the screen, and it just doesn't look good. But considering Terminator 2, it doesn't look like that. It looks like a film, that could have been made, 5 years ago, 10 years ago?
It looks like a film made today, set in 91, where they've got a lot of the period details right, rather than a film made in 91. That's what we're getting to, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, some of it, some of the story's a little bit cheesy, I guess.
Yeah, but it's Arnold Schwarzenegger. If it wasn't cheesy, you'd be disappointed.
If it wasn't cheesy, you'd be in the wrong film.
He isn't, throwing knives at people and telling them to stick around, or...
You need to go into script writing.
That's an actual scene from an Arnie film, so...
You still need to go into script writing.
Right, I write the script for this. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, but this is scripted word for word.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we aren't constantly going, oh yeah, edit that out, that'll be fine.
Or me going,
Anyway, what were we saying?
Something about Terminator. Actually, I did see the original Terminator a couple of years ago, and I did think it looked very dated.
It does, but to hear Arnie say, fuck you, arsehole, is worthwhile.
I mean, I'm not saying it's not a good film, but it hasn't held up in the same way. I mean, Spartacus looks like a film of its era, but that doesn't make it not a good film. And the same with the original Terminator. But I just think T2 has held up exceptionally well.
I would say it's probably one of my favourite films.
It is possibly my joint favourite Arnie film, possibly.
Oh my goodness, he's got subcategories of favourite films.
Of course he does, his head.
Honestly, doesn't everyone?
No.
Is that just me?
Well, everyone knows my favourite film is just going to be one of the Star Wars films.
Well,
it
yes,
changes. It's on a semi-regular basis.
Which
I've got to give each one their due at the top,
Yeah.
except for episode 1. That doesn't count.
I was going to say episode 1 is clearly your favourite.
Any film with
Get
Jar Jar
out. I
Binks
want
on.
to slap down that punk-ass little bitch that is Anakin the child and Jar Jar Binks. I'm sorry, the child annoys me more than Jar Jar Binks. Are you an angel? I'm like, seriously? if you ever try that one on anyone in real life, they will just laugh and walk away.
Punch in the face.
Possibly with punching in the face.
Yes.
But if it was your child, you would find it cute.
Well, that is true, actually.
I would tell them to stop hitting on strangers. And then I have an approved list of people they can date if they really want to.
Really?
I'm not going to be controlling in the slightest.
Of course not.
Anyway, so back to Terminator.
Yeah, back to Terminator. So, Dave, while we're there, did you see any interesting trailers?
Not on that film, but I may have seen one which may feature a certain actor called Arnie.
Didn't we see the trailer in that film? I thought we did.
No, we didn't. You sent it to me afterwards.
Oh, did I? I just conflated the two things.
It's all Arnie, so it's fine.
Anyway, the trailer.
The Killing Gunther. It's amazing.
That does. It looks. I don't know, Sophie, whether you've seen the trailer for this.
I have not seen the trailer.
It looks like largely a vehicle for Arnold Schwarzenegger to be quiptastic and blow things up.
So it's an Arnie film then?
Yep. Does look extraordinarily good.
Okay. I'll probably watch it.
What we should do is what I'll do is to put in a link to the in the show notes to the YouTube trailer at this point. But
see, I would say it's probably going to be because it's out this year, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, it's out in the autumn, isn't it? Sometime.
Yeah, I would say it would have been my favourite film of the year, but I have just seen it, and that was amazing.
Oh my god, I don't even want to talk about that. Okay, the whole concept of it just freaks me out. Nope, we're not going there.
In the fact of, most horror films nowadays are pretty shit.
That is true.
Predict the scares coming off and everything. Whereas with this, you had the the atmosphere felt like it kind of felt like the Goonies, where the characters get along with. I'm presuming you two have seen the Goonies.
Nope, never.
No.
Okay. Well, easier for you, Ed. It's like Stranger Things. Where,
right.
You've got all the children. They all kind of, they're joking about. They take the piss out of each other, etc. So you get the comedic response. You're actually laughing at some of the stuff they say. And then the clown just appears randomly in between bits. So you've got your scares, which actually kind of work because they don't use the typical, that you hear the sound effect leading up to them introducing the scare, or you can tell that as that woman opens the door. But there are certain bits where, for example, someone might open a door, and then as they open the door, you're expecting something to happen, but then they walk through the door, then it happens. So you get that kind of, it's not coming, actually it has, and it does kind of scare you.
I've never seen...
Well, I'm a man, so I don't scare too easily.
I've only ever seen one film I actually thought was scary. I've seen lots of films that have jump scares, but I don't think that's the same thing. But one film that's actually... like all the horror films I've ever seen, I've only ever seen one that was actually scary. And that was the Woman in Black with Daniel Radcliffe in it, which I saw at the cinema.
Oh, you should go and see the play of that, because it's based on the play, isn't it?
I think I have seen the play in it, but a long, long time ago. I think I went when I was a teenager. I didn't remember it in any detail. The film is very good, and it had one jump scare in it, but it was actually chilling. And I've never had that in a film, any horror film before. Horror films, they can be gruesome and they can have jump scares in and blah, 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 and a bit horrible to watch, but not actually scary. This was actually scary. So that's a good film.
Yeah, I hate horror.
The thing is, I wouldn't say it has its moments of jump scares, but some of it's just creepy, which works in a different level, I guess. Like the thing about the film, and this may be spoilers, but normally when you have like a character, like a monster or whatever, it takes like half an hour for you to meet that monster through the film.
Yeah, and sort of a Godzilla one, but be a classic where you see like a footprint, then a foot, then the end of the tail, and it'll be nearly at the end of the film before you see the whole monster.
Yeah, and whereas in this, in the first 10 minutes, you meet the clown.
Really?
So it's literally like, you get an introduction, there's some kid talking to, obviously, this isn't spoilers because there's an original TV series or film or whatever it was it's based on, and it's, it's not that dissimilar to it.
Isn't it a Stephen King novel?
Yes, it
Yes,
is.
it is.
Should always have expected it to be scary.
As an aside, is there a book or short story or anything written by Stephen King that hasn't been made into a film or TV series?
Pass. I don't know. I haven't been keeping tabs.
As they've recently done the Gunslinger, which was thought to be unfilmable, and they recently made a film of that, which I haven't seen actually. I love the book, but I had the film was a bit disappointing, despite having a very good cast. So I thought I'd skip it. But having they've made that, I don't think there's anything left, which is why they remade Carrie, haven't they, recently, or a couple of years ago?
Yeah, and that was meh.
Was it? The original one?
It's no different to the original. It's just a modernisation. You watch it.
You sometimes think, why did it? What does it bring? It should bring something new. If you're going to remake it, rather than remake it scene for scene, you should bring something new to it, a new interpretation of something.
Well, they're doing it for the money, aren't they?
Well, yes, I know, but that minor thing aside.
But they've also done Mr. Mercedes as well, which is a Stephen King novel.
Yes, I don't think that's come to TV in the UK yet, has it?
I don't think so. I think it's on some odd channel.
Is it? I did a search today, actually, earlier today, for a Mr. Mercedes UK release, which came with a big blank. According to Google, there's no plans to release it in the UK yet, which is a shame. Is it? It stars Brendan Gleeson, doesn't it?
Yes, it does, and he obviously is a very good actor.
One of my favourites.
I'm trying to think who else is in it. There's someone else in it. Harry Treadaway.
Oh yes, right. Okay, I recognise that name a lot.
So he's done the recent-ish remake of The Lone Ranger. He's in that. He's in quite a lot of he's been in TV series, so he's been in, like an episode of Agatha Christie's Marple and all that kind of thing.
Oh, that bloke! Him! He's in Fortitude.
Yeah. Is he?
Yes. Yes, he is. I knew I recognised the name from somewhere. Okay.
But yes, I haven't watched any of it, as it's not out in the UK.
Disclaimer, I disavow all knowledge of anything that Dave does.
Well, Dave, you were on holiday recently in the US, weren't you? Well, you got to
yes, I was. I was in the States. So I got to watch a few episodes of it, and it seems really good.
Oh dear.
I don't think it's one for you, though, Sophie.
No, probably not.
It's quite gruesome. It's got the most gruesome opening to a TV series I've ever seen.
You know what? It's not really gore that bothers me. It is just horror. Although it depends on the gore. I mean, if it's gore for the sake of gore, like it quite often is in Game of Thrones, I don't like it because I'm just like, what's the point? You're just doing it to be shocking and to get a reaction. In
fairness to Game of Thrones, certainly originally it was pretty true to the book. So if you saw something grim and gruesome in the TV series, it's because it was in the book. And although they've gone beyond the books now, they kind of kept the themes going. They kept the sort of feel of it the same.
To be fair, Game of Thrones was a bad example because that was, just because it was a bad example, basically. There are other films that are just like gore for the sake of it, and it's just like, it doesn't add anything. No. Why bother?
No, it doesn't. I'm absolutely with you there.
I can't think of any good examples now. I only said Game of Thrones because the DVD's in front of me.
Well, any of the Saw series of films?
Yeah, you see, haven't watched those.
I watched the first one and wished I hadn't.
Fair enough.
I really liked the first one.
Sorry?
I really liked the first one.
Did you? Maybe it wasn't the first one I saw. I saw one of the early ones, though, I think.
The first one has there's a famous bloke in it who plays Jigsaw, and they're locked in two people locked in a bathroom or something.
No, maybe it wasn't the first one I saw then. Maybe the second one.
Well, was the second one in a house by any chance?
Oh, Dave, I don't remember. I don't
Poor.
Sorry.
Fail.
I'm here trying to start conversation for the podcast, and you're ruining my script.
Why don't you tell us about the film?
Well,
Tell us about the film that's like decades old.
Yes, I can do. But Saw itself, the first Saw, I thought was very good because it's got quite a clever twist in it, etc., etc. The rest of them, not so good. It is just, it's been described as torture porn and all that kind of thing. And the thing is that the first film, the concept when it first came out was quite original and all that kind of thing. Whereas then they just saw how much money they can make out of it and released, I think, one every Halloween for about 12 years or something.
That sounds like a sound marketing strategy.
So, yeah, the first one is very good. I would recommend watching the first one if you can...
Stomach it?
If you can stomach it, yeah. I reckon Ed's good. I don't know if you could, Sophie. But Chris might be able to.
What, my Chris?
Yes, you're Chris. Or not just the random Chris that walks
Taking off the street. Put him in front of the DVD player. Go on, watch that.
Yeah, and thus began the next episode of Saw.
Oh, how very meta.
Funny thing is I actually have a teddy of the little jigsaw character that rides the bike in the film. So I could put off a Saw movie in my flat with a random guy off the street.
Random people on the street. Don't go into Dave's flat.
Or anyone else, I think. It sounds dangerous.
Yeah.
There's only saw blades coming out the walls. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Fine, it's just a good workout.
Yes, I thought, who doesn't have saw blades coming out of the walls?
Well, exactly.
In
I
this day
do.
and age.
Perfectly normal.
Perfectly normal.
Anyway, shall we get back to what's actually on our list?
Oh, yes.
Things
Let's
to talk
get back to the show notes.
The script.
It's not a script.
That bit's in the script.
God damn it.
Comedic genius wrote this. It's all good.
So, did anyone notice a new iPhone being released recently?
Nope, that one passed me by.
Yeah, I saw it. Saw the price, then laughed, then...
No, I tell you what, I saw...
Into it.
No, I heard about this. I was obviously joking. I do not actually live under a rock, despite my best efforts. But I saw a great joke on Facebook that someone had reposted or whatever. And it just said, how much was it? It's like, how much is it actually? Is it?
It's £1,000.
I was about to say, it's 1,000, isn't it? Yeah. Someone has said £1,000 for the new iPhone. Well, when I put it in airplane mode, I want it to take me on fucking holiday. It's like, yep. I would buy it for that.
Frankly, it doesn't matter how good it is, unless it can transmute base metals into gold.
Yes, so that you can get your money back on it.
Oh, that's right. I don't care what features it has in it. £1,000 for a phone is too much money.
Yeah, but people will pay it. They will. People are crazy.
This is because it has the Apple badge slapped on it. And people pay ridiculous amounts of money for anything with an Apple badge slapped on it, it seems to me. But the new features that it had, I thought, I don't know about you, Dave, but I thought were largely fairly derivative. And what they've done, I think, the genius of Apple is to package things. Their industrial design is very good, and they package things very nicely. For example, I had a hard disk-based MP3 player made by Arcos years before Apple came out with the iPod. Apple came out with the iPod, and it's a very nice design, very slick design. It's twice the price of an Arcos one, but that doesn't seem to matter. And they pretty much own the market. They've even almost, you call an MP3 player an iPod.
I don't.
Okay.
Only because I genuinely think they are different things.
But and then you look at phones. Apple came out with a phone with no keyboard on,
and now everyone does it.
But they weren't the first people to come out with a phone with no keyboard. You've got Microsoft phones. What, 10 years, Dave? 10 years before the first iPhone came out?
Something like that.
With Windows Mobile or Windows CE or whatever it was called, and they were phones with a stylus and no keyboard. And I had a friend who had one and liked it very much. But it was Apple who, by designing it very well, made it popular. Where Windows, by Microsoft, had actually failed to really get an inroad into that market. And also, I think tablet computers, obviously iPads.
Yes, they are generally collectively referred to as iPads, aren't they?
They are, but the first ones were made 10 years before Apple did it by Microsoft, who did a version of Windows especially for touchscreens.
But I think Microsoft have a slight brand image problem that Apple don't have. Apple are very much appealing to the younger market, whereas Microsoft and Windows is very much perceived as the person who had the first ever computer and has just stuck with what they know.
Also, you use Windows at work. So
yes,
Microsoft Windows, anything with Microsoft on it, as far as the consumer is concerned, I think is about as interesting as a toaster, because it's what you use at work.
Yeah, it's become a standard rather than a luxury.
Yeah.
Whereas an iPad is much more of a, ooh, you have an iPad, you have that designer label.
So it's a combination of design and marketing rather than genuine innovation.
I think they're very good at it. I mean, credit where it's due.
Absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Very good at it. Anyway, the new features in new iPhones are, it's got a fancy down camera, hasn't it?
Yeah.
But they aren't the first people to have the same sort of camera, are they, Dave?
Well, basically, all they've done is they've taken a load of stuff that's been, like you say, done already, but they've added their own touch to it.
Yes.
Made it easier to use.
Yes, they have done that.
You know, they've marketed the living shit out of it.
Oh, they've done that. Yeah.
And, you know, all the people that like shiny things go down to the shop and go, give me the iPhone. And they hand it over and they hand over their credit cards and then they cry for a bit because they're not having food for the next 6 months.
Yeah, but you don't need food when you have an iPad or whatever.
I don't understand the whole clamour eye products, because they, to me, if I'm buying something, I like to get value for money.
Yes.
Yeah, that's your priority because, you know, you're an adult.
Quite.
Yes. But even when I was young, when the first iPhone came out, I had to go with a friend's one, and my response was meh. I don't want to pay that much for a phone.
I had a couple of iPhones. I have to admit this at this point. I think I had a iPhone 4 and something like a 5S. And although I liked a lot of what they could do, like having the App Store, I like being able to, I like having run my life on the phone, which is something I now do completely. It's the restrictions that Apple put on it that drive me nuts. Like the keyboard. The keyboard is custom designed to be as annoying as possible if you have to enter a UK or Canadian postcode, because you can't have numbers and letters on the same thing. So like shifting keyboard, going back to shift to capitalize it, all this kind of stuff drives me absolutely nuts. And Apple, you can put a third-party keyboard on an Apple device, but Apple restrict it so it has exactly the same functionality as their own keyboard, making it absolutely pointless. And just a sort of small example of the way in which, if you like the way Apple do things, it's great. If you want it just to work, you don't have to think about it, it's fine. If you want to say, actually, I'd like to install my own third-party keyboard, which works better for me, you just simply can't do it. So it's Apple's way, or sod off.
Yeah, we designed it like this, and you will use it like this.
And this is why I moved across to Android. And I'm much happier there, because I get a phone, and the first thing I do is spend like 2 hours changing everything on it till it's the way I like it.
Fair enough.
The thing is, right, that I don't get. So, for example, this new iPhone X or whatever it is
the iPhone X.
No, it's the iPhone 10. It's written X, but it's pronounced
it's X because it's a Roman numeral. Exactly. That is so clever.
I say to Apple, if you want it to be pronounced 10, write it as 10. Otherwise,
now you're just being pedantic.
Otherwise, I think we should call it the iPhone X.
I think the iPhone X sounds cooler.
Well, it does. But it's the
thing. That's probably why they've called it.
But it's exactly the same as their desktop OS is OS X, but it's actually supposed to be OS 10. But it's written with a numeral. So, you know, they've been fighting this losing battle for, how long has OS X been out? 10 years? More? I'm not sure.
It's been out.
No idea.
No, more like 15 years, I think, actually thinking about it. We'll have to look that up. Who's in charge of looking things up today?
Well, normally it's me, but I don't like looking up stuff about iPhones. I get confused by them.
Oh, right, okay, I'll look it up then.
I don't want to dirty my PC.
Yeah, I don't want that in my browsing history. Excuse me. It's one thing for me to look up gaming cheats. That's absolutely no problem whatsoever, but I'm not looking up iPhones.
Okay, it was March 24th.
It's not cheating, it's called being efficient.
March 24th, 2001.
So 16 years old.
So 16 years ago.
Yeah.
No, you weren't far off then with your 15. Is this going to be like the episode where we're out by a year every time?
I think, yes. In fact, I think that might be the name of the episode, Out by a Year.
Well, coming back to my point, as we sidetracked a bit, £1,000 for a phone, right?
Yeah.
What do you use your phone for to warrant spending £1,000 on it?
Don't know. I mean,
spending £1,000 on a phone, the reason you're using it is to pose.
Yeah.
It has to be. I mean, realistically, I don't know, it's different for other people, but realistically, most people use their phone for WhatsApp or Facebook, and they may play the odd game, they may watch the odd video. Any phone will do that.
Pretty much.
Yep. I use my phone for internet, texting, WhatsApp, and phone calls. I use it for actual phone calls.
Actual phone calls?
I know, I've got
Really?
such outdated ideas.
I'm astonished. I don't remember the last phone call I made on my phone. I mean, I know it's called a phone, but seriously, I actually don't remember. If they took the voice function off it, I probably wouldn't know for 6 months.
Let's put that to the test.
Well, good Lord, who actually phones up instead of using WhatsApp these days?
Yeah, but you've got to remember, I don't have a landline, so my phone is the way I get contacted. But I'm not going to lie, my phone bill I've been going over my minutes and, what's it called? The internet thing that you're allowed. Data, thank you.
Yep.
Quite a lot over the past few months, so I am going to get a new phone after we eventually move house. And I've been going over, because I've been on the phone, to people about moving house. And it's the saddest feeling. You're like, oh, for God's sakes, I've got to pay like 3 times as much on my phone bill this month because I've gone over and I've spent like 30 seconds on the phone to the estate agent or something. It's just not as much fun.
No, that's really quite annoying, isn't it? I optimistically saddled myself with a 1 gigabyte data limit because I've had a 2 gigabyte data limit for several years and not gone anywhere near it. So I settled myself with a 1 gigabyte data limit just as my usage pattern changed, and I had to go over it every month, which is quite annoying.
Yep, so I will be heading down to getting a new phone at some point.
New phone. Are you going for a new phone?
I'm going to go for a new phone because I want to get a new contract as well, so I might as well get a new phone and a new contract. And I really hate this phone. I've always hated this phone.
So, Sophie, the important question is, what phone are you going to buy?
Well, I've heard this great stuff about this iPhone 10 thing or iPhone X, whatever you want to call it.
You're paying £90 a month.
For the rest of my life. It'll be like my student loan. I'll never pay it off.
See, you mentioned about using your phone for phone calls. Now, I expect with the next iPhone, they will tell us that we don't need to make phone calls, and they have removed this function from the phone.
Now the new iPhone has wireless charging, something which Samsung's had for 5 years.
I was about to say, there's nothing new about that. It's not even that great anyway. You get this thing that you have to plug in anyway, and you just put your phone on top of it. I'm like, it's the same as plugging in your phone.
I know. I just wonder.
Sorry. I find that quite outrageous. That look at this shiny new feature. It's the same goddamn thing.
I know. This is ridiculous. There's all the features. Anyway,
we've been there. We've done that bit.
I know. I could happily have several times in a row. But, what was my point again?
Sorry. I'm being distracting.
Oh, they've got rid of the headphone socket, haven't they?
Have they?
Yes.
Yeah, that was like a couple of generations ago. There's no headphone socket. You have to have.
Oh, I do remember this now. I remember
now
this.
It's got wireless charging. Have they got rid of the actual power socket?
No, they have not.
Oh, this time. Next time they probably will.
Yeah. Well, what's the point? It's just. Oh, it seems so stupid. I just don't get it. No, never mind. Sorry.
Well,
we're ranting over.
I'm just reading here, right? So. Apple says that fast charging is compatible with Apple's 29 watt, 61 watt, and 87 watt USB-C power adapters. So they have 3 different chargers. And obviously they're different prices. So you pay $49 to $80 or $49 to £80. Pound is worth fuck all now.
Yep.
Buttons.
You're paying 80 quid for a fucking charger.
£80 for a charger.
Just never lose that charger, otherwise you will hate yourself for the rest of your life.
I know people have phones that cost less than 80 quid.
Yeah, mine was about 50.
Never
Mine
mind
is probably why I hate it so
charger.
much.
Oh dear.
But I don't understand how Apple can get away with doing this.
Because they have that brand image that they've worked very hard to create and very hard to maintain.
Steve Jobs was a marketing genius, whatever else you can say about him, and he created this kind of reality distortion field, whereby anything that Steve Jobs touched was flipping amazing, and he was very good at that. And he's obviously been gone a few years, sadly, but the company's been left with his reality distortion field that they can produce anything. And it has this kind of aura of being absolutely amazing, super stylish, brilliantly designed, and I think actually they're quite well designed. But
They are quite well designed and they are stylish. I wouldn't go as far as paying £1,000 for a phone, however.
Yes, as has been mentioned, I don't care how it is.
Once or twice.
I don't care what it does. I'm not paying £1,000 for a phone, and that's final.
I wonder what the monthly contract is on that. I mean, obviously it depends on what package you get, but, I'd be curious to find out what the prices are.
It's about the cost of a small child.
I'm not sure which I'd prefer, the small child or the iPhone X.
I'm just doing a sneaky look up
Oh, yeah.
for the cost of an iPhone X contract.
Everyone get ready to faint.
Actually can't find UK price at the moment.
Oh, really? That is disappointing.
No, you can...
When is this thing hitting the market, anyway?
Fuck knows, who cares?
I'm just curious.
The range of phones, you can pre-order the phone from Apple. I just seen that, and they start at £999, and they go upwards from there, depending what spec you get.
Christ! So you're telling me the £1,000 phone is the cheapest?
Yes.
That probably doesn't include the charger.
No, charger's extra. It's 80 quid.
Yeah.
That wouldn't surprise me, because they did this before, didn't they? They changed the socket on the bottom of the phone so you couldn't use your old charging cable.
Yes, that was
Basically, their
outrage.
response was, fuck you, don't care, buy a new cable, it's 70 quid, don't
Probably.
give a shit.
No,
Yeah, that was the thing. I remember that caused absolute outrage, but people did it anyway because they had no choice. And also, I think they would have done it anyway.
I had that phone. I got that iPhone with the change in changing cable. It was really very annoying. And what was also annoying was people brought out third-party cables pretty quickly, which were much
They always
cheaper.
do.
But then Apple, when they released their software updates to the whatever version of iOS was running on it, they actually disabled third-party cables. So they've actually gone out and you spent money on actual third-party cables that worked perfectly well, and Apple disabled them.
See, this is one of the reasons why I will never go for them, because they are just such assholes. Like, they won't let you do anything on the cheap. They're like, no, you must charge it with an iPhone cable. You must put it in an iPhone case, in an iPhone handbag, whilst you walk around in your iPhone trousers. It's like, come on.
iPhone trousers. That's a genius idea.
You know what? It will come true. They'll be white and they'll have the little silver logo on one of the butt cheeks.
Guaranteed.
So that you know which pocket to put your phone in.
But when are we getting wireless charging trousers?
Yes,
I just think of that,
wireless
yes.
charging trousers. Oh, that would be brilliant. Now that I would pay.
Yes, you have to put your phone in the right butt cheek so it charges wirelessly.
Yeah. That's actually a great idea.
Does this mean when you walk, the faster you walk?
Yeah, the faster you walk, the
More quickly it
faster your
charges.
phone charges. This is brilliant. We're geniuses. We should go work for Apple.
Yeah, we could charge at least £4,000 for that pair of trousers.
That's right.
Oh, hell yeah.
Jonathan Ive,
It'd be brilliant. That would be awesome, because then we can pitch it to the government as well to be like, look, this can be part of your healthy eating, get rid of obesity scheme, and you can charge your phone off the static created by you walking. Don't ever go into a Woolworths ever again, because I swear, any Woolworths, they have where they've got stairs, always got a static shock from them. Always.
You're talking about a company that doesn't exist anymore.
Yes, I have to mention this point.
You
can't
say
go
that.
into a Woolworths.
You said I've seen a Woolworths.
No.
Yes, it was closed, but I saw it nonetheless.
Good Lord.
Like, as in, you could have gone in there if you'd fancied breaking down the door. You could have gone in there and gone and touched the rail for the stairs.
You could have got the 7 tons of pick and mix that they've left.
Yes, which is now mutated and is taking over the world through iPhones. Anyway, that was an interesting conversation. In case you hadn't guessed, everyone, that is our position on iPhones.
I think we have a position on iPhones, so I think it's fairly clear what it is. And I think we speak in essentially one voice on this.
Yeah.
I do have a view on Apple, and it links to the last podcast, which is Falcon.
Well, that's good, because that's their attitude of you as well, as a consumer.
That's true. So what's the next item?
I don't know. Let's move on from the rant.
It's me.
It's you.
It is.
I can't pronounce what you've written there. So tell us all about it, whatever it is.
I've recently finished reading a trilogy of books written by a Chinese author whose name is Cixin Liu. I think in Chinese his name would be Liu Cixin. So they sort of anglicised or westernized.
Yeah, I don't know, because sometimes they do and sometimes they don't they?
I think in this instance they have. And honestly, I don't know why. It's quite easy for people to understand that in other cultures they put the names the other way around, and that's fine. But they seem to feel they have the need to do this. The publishers have the need to do this so that we can relate to Mr. Liu.
Well, I wonder if they do this in Chinese, if they say, if I was to write a book, they put my surname first and then my first name. Who knows?
Well,
I need to find someone who speaks Chinese in order to learn it. Anyway, sorry, your trilogy.
It's a science fiction trilogy, and I have to say it was one of the best series of books I have read in a very long time. It's I read it largely because it was Chinese. I thought, that'd be interesting. Obviously not in Chinese; it's been translated into English. But I thought, well, it's half the attraction of watching Swedish TV or whatever, is that you get a little insight into foreign cultures that you wouldn't necessarily get just by going sightseeing and staring at the Great Wall, because this has it's written by a Chinese author for a Chinese audience. It's a science fiction series. It starts in the very near future, in a sort of present day, if you like, that everyone would recognise, and goes on from there. Its scope is, sort of future of the human race important. It's very, very good. It's sort of a mixture of not just sort of science fiction, but also sort of philosophy and sort of observational writing. It's so cool. It has a quote by Barack Obama on the cover.
Really? What quote?
Oh, I haven't got a book to hand, otherwise I'd tell you. But basically, it's
I think he said "fuck him."
No, you're confusing yourself with Apple again.
Oh, sorry.
I think it's
out of this conversation.
It was Barack Obama saying something like "Cixin Liu's awesome," and then fist bumping him on the cover.
That would be cool.
It's a very good book. The interesting thing about this is the first and third book are done by one translator, and the middle book of the trilogy is done by a different translator. But I didn't notice till I checked, because I think they must be translating so well, the two translators, that it's the authentic voice of the author that's coming through, and they've managed to carry that through. I think that many years ago, as a teenager, I unwisely read a series of books by Sven Hassel, and they are set in the Second World War, and they're originally written, I believe, in Norwegian, and they've been translated by at least two different translators. And when you swap between them, the translators, they are completely different. You would have no thought they were written by the same author originally. That's not the case with Mr. Liu's book. They are very good. They're very well translated. The voice of the author carries through, and there's a sort of book that at the end of it you kind of left gasping, because it's so intense. I just the last book, so the last third of the last book, I sort of blocked everything else out, sat in a chair and ignored life as it span round me, just so I could finish the book. Anyone's got any sort of interest at all in science fiction, very authentic science fiction, sort of in-depth, thoughtful, cleverly written, I can heartily recommend this.
Cool. So you liked it then?
Yeah, a bit. Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. I mean, I've read one or two books by Japanese authors, actually. And you're right, actually. It does give a sort of insight into the way their culture works a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's really the right thing to say, or the right way to say it. But the thing I do notice about Japanese books is a lot of it is based around their notions of honor, and all of them. I've only read I've read a trilogy and a one-off sort of standalone book, unrelated, different authors. End in tragedy. They always end in tragedy, but it's in a sort of bizarrely uplifting way.
What books do you remember off the top of your head? What books? I recently finished a book by coincidence. I recently finished a book, Who Done It, a crime novel called 6-4, written by a Japanese author. That wouldn't have to be one of them.
No, the trilogy I read was the Across the Nightingale Floor trilogy.
Oh, I've heard of those.
Actually, I'm not sure that is written by a Japanese author. It's set in Japan, but hold on, I'm just looking it up.
You're looking it up.
The author is... Oh, he's English. Well, there you go. He was an English author, so we can discount that one anyway. But it's written in a very Japanese sort of style.
Yeah.
And the other book I read was called Cloud of Sparrows, which was definitely written by a Japanese author. I cannot say his name.
Cloud of Sparrows, was that?
Cloud of Sparrows, yeah. What's his name? Takeshi Matsuoka, I think. Probably pronouncing that entirely wrong. Yeah, Takeshi Matsuoka. Whatever. But it's a phenomenal book. That one was really, really good. It was a wonderful story about these Christian missionaries that go to Japan, just sort of as Japan's coming out of its feudal era, and it is so good. I don't want to give anything away. It's just read it.
I've just bought it.
Excellent. Read it. Enjoy it.
On your recommendation, I've just downloaded the Kindle edition as we spoke.
It has a very slight element of fantasy in there, but that's kind of more a plot device than actually... It's not a fantasy book. It's just really a plot device.
Well, I was just reading the reviews of it. Not only your own review. The average customer review is 4.5 on Amazon, or reader review, I should say. People like it a lot. So, I recently reread. I read originally back a long time ago, as a in my early teen years, and recently reread Shogun by James Clavell, another book set in medieval Japan, and that is another very good book, well worth the read. If you like things set in Japan, not written by a Japanese man, doesn't have that level of authenticity, but it has an authentic feel, which for a Western reader is possibly about as important. And I can heartily recommend that book. I don't suppose you've read that, Sophie?
No, that one's not ringing bells.
Do read it. I'm going to forward you the link to it.
Thank you. And I love Japanese culture. I think it's just fascinating. It's the best country I've ever visited. I do bang on about Japan. I love it so much. But I haven't actually read much of their literature, and I think a large part of that is because I find quite often it ends in some form of tragedy, and I like uplifting, happy stories.
Okay, so could you hold on a second? I
can hear a squealing child in the background.
Welcome to the podcast. It's going to be so much editing for you to do.
It's fine.
I can leave that in there to prove that we're not... what's the word? Scripted.
to read the script.
I think I'll definitely leave that bit in there. Definitely. I've just bunged the link to the book in the show.
Yes, I saw. Thank you.
So read it. It's really good. It is, I believe, very well researched and as authentic as it could be, given the time it was written. So yeah, go for it. Where had we got to? Sophie, Star Wars. I believe you had some Star Wars news you wanted to talk about.
I always have Star Wars news.
Star Wars correspondent.
Yes, Star Wars correspondent here. So I went to Star Wars Identities, which I believe is actually now finished. I think it might be finishing at the end of this month. It's just an exhibition at the O2 in London. It was so good. It was so much fun. You do. It's all about the sort of characters and character creation in the Star Wars universe. And it focuses mostly on Luke Skywalker and Anakin Skywalker. And what I loved about it was you had all sort of authentic costumes and authentic props there, and the concept art, which was what I found probably arguably the best part. So I love looking at concept art and seeing how it all takes shape. And so you had all of that there, and you also had this character creation side of it, that you could create your own character as you go round. You get given these little it was just so much fun, and like everyone was enjoying it. There were kids there, there were adults there were geeks like me there, and everyone was doing it and really enjoying it. And you tap your wristband at the various little stations, and each one you sort of do a little customizing thing, and it's just so much fun. Loved it.
And this was called
Star Wars Identities.
Star Wars Identities.
Mm-hmm. Although I do have to say, I think if it didn't have that character creation element of it, I would have been disappointed.
Really?
I think it needed that sort of level of interaction. Otherwise, it would have been like going around a Star Wars museum, which, whilst fascinating, also probably not worth the price.
So the level of interactivity was what made it?
Yes, definitely. Because otherwise, yeah, I think I would have been disappointed.
What was it expensive?
I think it was £25 each.
That's a fair amount then, isn't it? And whereabouts was that? That was.
I'm not going to lie. Star Wars does have that price tag. You know, if you want anything official Star Wars memorabilia or something, you just got to add that little bit more, which is an Apple technique.
It's absolutely true. I mean, if you buy kid stuff, obviously for the boys, pajamas or whatever, you buy like ordinary pajamas for £6 for a pair or something for kids, and then you buy the Star Wars equivalent, basically exactly the same but with a Star Wars character on, and it's probably going to be £15, maybe £20 for essentially identical pajamas. But the kids love having Darth Vader on their pajamas.
Who wouldn't love that?
Well, quite. And this actually ties in with another item that I saw recently. The Lego Millennium Falcon. They released a new Lego one, and as with all these large kits, they're limited editions. They make a certain number, they send them to market. When they're done, they're done. And they do this with like the big sets of cranes or biplanes or whatever it is they do. But they've made it's their biggest model ever. It's a Lego Millennium Falcon. It's if you actually see a photograph of it, it's very large. They showed somebody sort of holding one. It's a very big model indeed. It's got more pieces in than any other kit they've ever done. It is, brace yourself, 650 of your pounds.
Ouch! No, I'm sorry, no, not even for Star Wars. Mind you, that's just because at the moment it's sort of a case of, can I drive it? No. Can I live in it? No. Then I can't afford it. When it comes to that sort of price.
It is a substantial kit, though. I'll put something in the show notes about this. You actually look at the size of the damn thing. It's enormous. You wouldn't want to drop it on your foot.
Do they tell you how much it weighs?
I don't know, actually. I can't see a weight.
Do not build without steel toe-capped boots.
I'm going to see if I can find a suitable, up-to-date... I'll see if I can find a suitable image, and if I can, I'll post the illustrated sides of it. But if I can, I'll put it in the show. It does look like an awesome kit, and actually I quite like making Lego stuff. Quite like making Lego things with the boys.
Well, this is the thing, is actually Lego in here have been very smart in their marketing by keeping up to date and keeping relevant. As you see, a lot of the sort of children's toys have fallen by the wayside as things like iPad and stuff have taken over. But Lego have kept themselves relevant by teaming up with Star Wars and with Batman and with Indiana Jones and stuff like that.
Lego have had a major turnaround actually because in the 1980s they were on the verge of going out of business. I recall reading somewhere, and they by doing these kind of licensing deals and co-branding with other brands for children, they have. I read that last year they actually overtook Hasbro to become the world's largest toy company.
Damn, good for them. Whoever did that ban was worth their money. I hope they got a pay rise.
Yeah, quite. But I mean, the films that are coming out, the cartoons that are on TV.
Oh yeah, my other half and I watched Lego Batman again last night. That was so good. I love that movie.
Yeah, they are good, aren't they?
They're just, yeah. Love Lego Batman. So funny.
Yeah, and the Lego movie was actually quite good, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Lego movie as well. It was that was a surprising one, actually, because I really didn't see where it was going.
Nope.
And enjoyed it very much.
I took to my older boy to see that. He was very keen, and I sort of prepared myself for hour and a half hour snooze while kids' film goes on in the background. But actually, it really captivated me, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Which was the big surprise, the cinematic surprise of whatever year that was.
Parents enjoy it too.
So other Star Wars news. They've announced they have announced an Obi Wan.
The powers that be.
Yes, that's right. They've announced an Obi Wan Kenobi movie. Have you heard about this, Sophie?
I have. Now, I was having a debate actually. I think it was with my other half, in fact, over how the hell they were going to make an Obi Wan Kenobi movie. Because you think about it, you've seen part of his apprenticeship with Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yep.
You saw him mentoring Anakin. You saw him attempting to kill Anakin, which we all wanted to do. And then you saw him die. So you've kind of seen most of his later life.
But in the cartoon series, there was a lot of... Basically, the cartoon series is set during Anakin's training.
Yes, that's the Clone Wars, isn't it?
That's it, yeah. And they managed to get a lot of episodes in there. It's set in that period.
But again, it's been done. They couldn't have taken that anywhere without making the whole of the cartoon series non-canonical. Non-canon. I can't say that word.
Canonical.
Whatever. Yeah, that one will do. So, yeah, and obviously you don't really want a film about his childhood because apart from anything else, good child actors are very hard to come by.
Yes.
And also no one wants that from Star Wars. Like, no. Please tell me you learnt your lesson with episode 1. Okay, it was shit.
You'd hope.
You'd hope so.
But apparently Ewan McGregor is making an appearance in it. I don't know.
Exactly. So this got us thinking maybe they're going to do the bit in between episodes 4 and 5. Not 4 and 5. What am I talking about? 3 and 4.
3 and 4.
So there is a bit in episode 6 where Luke is facing Vader. Luke has surrendered himself to Vader. And Vader says, Obi-Wan once thought as you did. And it's kind of implying that Obi-Wan, at some point after attempting to kill Anakin, tried to turn him back to the light side. So I think that's where the film is going to take place. Between episodes 3 and 4.
I think that's very, very astute thought, Sophie, if I may say. I think that's the sort of most fertile ground, isn't it? And do you know the way that they tied in the last Star Wars film? Was it Rogue
One?
And that they tied that in absolutely brilliantly.
It was flawless, wasn't it? I was so pleasantly surprised by that film.
The ending of that film just sent shivers down my spine. It was so cleverly done, so well done.
Yeah.
If they managed to tie it in that well, and if managed to be that good, it will be epic. I think in part it depends who's directing it. I mean, I have to say the handling of the Star Wars property by Disney has been pretty astute.
They've been very good because I was so worried when they first bought it.
Yeah.
I was didn't want a Mickey Mouse sing-along version coming out.
I just thought, oh god, this is going to be joke. On the other hand, look at the way Sir George Lucas handled the prequels. Yeah,
true enough.
Although actually, I think they've improved with time. When I first saw them, I went to cinema to see all of them slavishly because they're Star Wars, and was quite disappointed. But actually, when I watched them again just before the next Star Wars came out with my boys, I sat down and watched the whole lot in order. And actually, I think time has been kind to these films. And in hindsight, they're not as bad as I remembered them being.
Yes, but is that because you went to see them with high hopes and was disappointed, and this time round you were like, oh, it's shit, I'll sit through it, and then you're like, oh, it's not that bad actually.
It is all a question of managing expectation. With this, I think about Rogue One. By the time I saw Rogue One, my expectations were very high and met.
Yes, that was a pleasant surprise.
Yes, it was. Dave, are you looking forward to seeing the Obi Wan Kenobi movie?
Not really.
Not really. Get out.
Well, the thing for me is it's getting to the point now where because there's going to be a Star Wars film every year. It's losing its charm.
Well, you see, I think that LucasArts, Disney, whoever, are actually being quite clever about this because they're keeping the hype going. I think that's why they're doing one a year, is so that you don't go 2 years between Star Wars movies. I mean, I think they'd still get a great turnout at each one, but this way fans have something to look forward to every single year. And it's a good way of introducing new fans as well, because Rogue One was written in such a way that it actually fitted with today's sort of quite dark cinema, but it was still light-hearted enough to be considered Star Wars.
Well, Rogue One was good, but the thing that I'm not looking forward to is I know that they're going to be making a Star Wars film on most of the characters. And it's just a bit...
You're referring at this point to the rumoured Boba Fett and Yoda standalone movies.
Wait, what?
Yeah, apparently so. I mean, I don't think these are confirmed yet, but I certainly, when I just did a bit of Googling of the Obi Wan Kenobi movie, Google will very easily lead you in the direction of the rumours of origin stories of Boba Fett and Yoda. And admittedly, Yoda has a lot of the lore for Star Wars, does imply a lot of interesting things in the early life of Yoda.
Yeah, but what's the point in doing an origin story on Boba Fett? We know his story. He was a clone. But that's not interesting.
This is what I mean. It's going to get to the point where it's like, oh, we're doing an Origins movie of the random alien thing that was in the background before.
That's right. These Star Wars, the Death Star's third cleaning shift.
I think you've got a point there, though, Dave. Actually, Star Wars is running this risk of almost making too much,
devaluing their property. Yes,
exactly. There's so much out there that they're going to start doing content over quality.
Well, it's like with the first film they made that Disney made. Is it Force Awakens?
The Force Awakens, yeah, episode 7, yeah.
And so it's a good film. I'm not saying it's a bad film, but it did feel like a rehash. It's just kind of like
it was a good
I
film,
wish
not a
they'd
great
done
film.
something new.
Yeah, I think the next episode that comes out that's due out this year, isn't it?
Yes.
See, the thing about it is, by alternating, by having like the main story coming out every other year, and then other things coming out intervening years, I am now absolutely gupping to see the next episode. Whatever it is. Episode. Where have we got to now, Sophie?
This will be episode 8.
Yes, so by now.
Sorry, I can count, I promise.
We just lose track. But, I'm at the point where I'd sell my firstborn child. I wouldn't really sell my firstborn child to see this.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah, maybe. To see the next episode. But I'm certainly, really keen to go. It's coming up just before Christmas this year, I assume.
It's December release date.
Yeah, December release date, and I'll be along with half the rest of the country trotting off dutifully to the cinema to pay my £15 whatever the tickets cost. You have heard about the 9th one, haven't you? The 9th one? What about it?
J.J. Abrams is doing it again.
I know.
Oh,
this is
yes.
good news.
No, I read that just today. Yes, you're right. That is good news.
Yes, and do you want to know why? If you haven't read it,
no, why?
Because apparently the director they did have lined up has developed a reputation for being difficult to work with. I was like, well, he's going to be a damn sight easier now.
Quite. Who did they have lined up? Do we know?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Who did the last one?
J.J. Abrams.
Yeah, I thought.
Well, he did episode 7. I don't know who did Rogue One. I can't remember.
No. But I think that's only good news, isn't it? Because I think he has handled the Star Wars movies and the Star Trek reboot.
Exactly.
Movies. Very astutely, very well. Very safe pair of hands, I would say.
Yes, and also just generally, I think he's a brilliant director.
Yeah. Didn't he?
I do like the fact the release date. Oh, sorry to interrupt, but the release date for this has changed. So the ninth movie was meant to come out on May the 24th in 2019, and it's now been pushed back to December. So I do wonder.
The ninth movie has, because I heard a rumor that it was going to come out in June, and I didn't understand why they'd bother doing that. If you're not going to come it out on May, if you're not going to have it out on May the 4th. Then just stick with the Christmas release date.
Yeah,
I mean,
the Christmas release date is traditional for this sort of movie, I think. And,
yes, it is definitely.
These movies are big enough to be the Christmas blockbuster, no matter what else is released at that time of year. I think.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like the Lord of the Rings movies, the Harry Potter movies. It's those kind of Christmas movies that you're going to go and see with the family.
They're movies the whole family can go and see together, and it's the time of year where you will treat yourself and say, actually, been shopping all day for other people and I want to sit down and look, there's Star Wars showing, let's go watch it.
It's part of almost the Christmas ritual, going and seeing the big epic blockbuster just before, just after Christmas, whatever it is. And if it wasn't something as big as the Star Wars, you'd feel a bit let down, really, I think.
I wouldn't go, to be honest. I would only go if it was something that I wanted to watch. Like, for me, it's not so much of a thing to go to the cinema at Christmas.
Right.
But that's just me. Don't know how other people feel about that.
I look forward to it. We've been doing it since they started releasing the first Lord of the Rings, which is quite a few years back now, since they started releasing those at Christmas. And we've done all those through those, the Hobbits, the Harry Potter films.
I do remember going to see the Lord of the Rings at Christmas, actually.
Yeah, it's sort of
I didn't see any of the Harry Potter films in cinema.
Didn't you?
No, I don't
actually,
remember why.
We almost went because we were looking for something to see, having done this with the Lord of the Rings films. I think we thought, Harry Potter, close enough. We'll go and see that. It's got a wizard with a long beard in it. That'll do.
Yeah. Yeah. Crossing the line there, okay?
Sorry. In which direction?
In a bad direction.
I'm getting hate from a Harry Potter point of view or hate from a Lord of the Rings point of view. Which hate have I just triggered there?
I'm not actually sure. Because I like and dislike aspects of both.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the Harry Potter series.
Yeah.
Up until the last one, where it was like, and all those clever bits that J.K. Rowling put in the book, and that at the end they all come together and they fall into place. We'll just ignore all of those, even though we've made a point of putting them in the films. And then at the end, we will have a lightsaber battle. I was literally like, what's just happened? Why are they using... Oh, no, they're actually wands, but they look like lightsabers. They are the same colour as the Emperor and Luke Skywalker in episode... and the Emperor. Same colour as Vader and Luke Skywalker in episode 6. But
I
they're
didn't
wands.
pick up on that little detail.
Yeah, green and red.
Well, I mean, the fact that they split it into two films is pretty dubious, sort of...
Well, exactly, because of them all, I think it was the 5th or the 6th book that was the fattest. The 7th book was actually considerably smaller.
Yeah, because the film before, which I can't remember the name of off the top of my head...
is that the Half-Blood Prince?
Oh, I think it might be, yeah.
Number 6, the Half-Blood Prince?
That was possibly the best film of the lot, I think.
Yes. I thought that was... Well, wait, was that the one with loads of romance in?
Yes, I'm going to say...
I liked the ending of that, but I thought that there was quite a lot of romance in it, which got a bit boring.
Yeah, no, I think it was all the films... Put it this way, I think of all the films, it's the one I enjoyed the most. I think that the ones when he's in his early years, it's kid films...
They're very kid films, yes.
There's one, basically, there's one about he's in a tournament, whatever, it just goes on a bit too much.
The Tri-Wizard Tournament, that's number 4, I think.
Yeah. Don't think I enjoyed that
the
one.
Goblet of Fire.
But the one that was before the Deathly Hallows, so it is the Half-Blood Prince, isn't it? I think that was the film, at least, that I enjoyed the most.
Fair enough.
Dave, do you have an opinion on this?
I don't like any of Harry Potter.
Fair enough.
Your opinion is no.
Basically,
Computer says no.
I prefer Lord of the Rings, so...
Now, Lord of the Rings, I really enjoyed. But there were scenes in there where I was like, oh, really? Okay, call me pedantic, right? Is it in the... Thank you. Is it the third one where they light the signal fires?
Yes.
in Lord of the Rings.
Yes, it is.
Why the fuck did they have a fire above the clouds?
Because
What was the point in that?
it made an awesome opening sequence.
It wasn't even an opening sequence. It was in the middle of the film.
Was it?
And it went on and on, that scene. And I was like, Jesus, they must be nearly at bloody Rohan by now. But yes, that just annoyed me because I was like, realistically, and it had like someone's little hut next to it. I'm like, nobody lives there, okay? Because there's nothing for them to eat. Nobody lives on top of a mountain.
They have convoys of pack horses supplying them.
Yes. And that's why they didn't have any soldiers.
Did you not see the Asda delivery van?
Oh, it must have been just on the edge of the shot.
Didn't one of those little huts have somebody to come out looking at the helicopter that was doing the filming?
Possibly.
Yeah.
But that was an eagle, not a helicopter. What are you talking about?
Ah, yes, the eagles.
But it's mainly the fact of obviously Gandalf would kick the living shit out of Dumbledore. So I don't care what anyone says.
That's true. If you can take down a Balrog and come back as Gandalf the White, anyone in the Harry Potter universe doesn't stand a chance.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
I mean, does Dumbledore come back? No, he doesn't.
No,
So
he
far.
doesn't. And he doesn't tumble into the pit of doom. He just falls off a wall.
Well, he does get hit by the killing curse as well. Don't forget that.
Did he?
Ha! Killing curse. I wouldn't even touch Gandalf.
Bounce off the cloud of pipe smoke that surrounds him.
Like some sort of invisible,
Yes.
visible shield.
Visible shield, yes. Yes, so take that, Harry Potter.
Although,
Having said that, I still enjoyed Harry Potter.
No, yes, true enough.
Gandalf technically a god?
A demigod, I believe.
A demigod, yeah.
Oh, well, in that case, it's a bit of an unfair fight, isn't it? I mean, it's just
It's just Dumbledore's a bit of shit.
Well, you don't have a
because he
fair
can't
fight.
win against a demigod.
If you're a winning general, you make sure the fight isn't fair, don't you? I mean, that was half of Napoleon's genius, wasn't it? And what's his name, the other bloke, to be able to look at the land and then fight on your own terms. So to make sure the fight isn't fair.
That's very
All's
true.
fair in love and war.
Okay, fair enough.
Speak.
What else are we going to talk about? I know.
What's next?
Halt and Catch Fire Series 4. Dave,
I'm sorry. Where's that on the notes?
that's just a bit further down.
Oh, right. Oh, I see.
Halt and Catch Fire 4 is fucking amazing.
Okay,
So glad it's
we did
come
have a gap here for editing purposes. So
Okay. Everyone pause for 5 seconds and then Dave just come in and say it's fucking amazing.
we'll do that. Okay.
Most awkward silence ever.
It's fucking amazing! There you go.
But yes,
It's fucking amazing. Dave, take it
Yeah.
away.
Fucking amazing. And
Did
like
you-
all the other series, or
did I say you enjoyed it, Dave?
yes. Well, the thing is because it's quite geeky, but
Yes,
it
it is.
has its drama in it, doesn't it?
Yes,
Between
it
all the
does.
characters, and you know, it's the fact it follows. It's not true to what actually happened, but if you take that out of context, it's still set in the right kind of era because they're on the World Wide Web.
It has that very nebulous quality of authenticity. I think it can be very hard to get, but that's what makes it so good. Is they've taken reality and they've pushed it apart a little bit and found a niche they can fit in between all the other things that are happening, and they're just enough kind of touch points. And they've done this. They've added in a number of very compelling, although not necessarily likable, characters, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean,
And
the
they've got
fact,
period details like spot on.
yes, I mean the fact that with the characters, it's quite funny actually because you start disliking characters and then it goes on to the next series and you start liking them again
No, that's right. Absolutely.
because because it's set in different time periods. That person's changed a bit. They
Yeah.
weren't the same arsehole that they were before.
And it's like the guy in the first series who's a total wanker, and then he comes back in the second series having gone through some sort of personal transformation. It's a sort of guru, doesn't he?
Yes, and he's a bit more likable. And then the guy that you feel sorry for example, in the first series, becomes a bit of a wanker.
Yes, he does.
That's probably sort of fairly accurate reflection of people in real life, though, because you find people do change to an extent, but I find quite often that people who suffer something then go one or two ways. They become quite bitter and a bit of an arsehole, or they sort of, I don't know, learn from it, I guess, and just, it kind of makes them a nicer person. I've met people who I think, holy shit, I couldn't go through half the stuff you've gone through. How are you still smiling? A lot of respect for them. Sorry, slightly off topic.
Good. But yes, most people are arseholes, to be honest. As you can tell, I'm a people person.
Dave's very friendly.
Very friendly. He actually is very friendly in real life, dear listener.
This is all part of the script. It's my character coming out.
No, it is your defences going up.
Maybe.
Anyway, I from a personal point of view, I binge watched the first 3 series of Halt and Catch Fire when I found them, and I thought they were just awesome, and have been waiting very keenly for the 4th and sadly last series. I think to announce it's the last series, hasn't it? So it's very keen.
It's such a shame it's not done very well. Like,
well, no, this is true. It hasn't done very well, and I don't really understand why, because I find it utterly compelling to watch. I don't think you've seen it, have you, Sophie?
No, I haven't actually. I was just thinking, where do I find this?
Amazon Prime. Amazon
Prime.
Yes.
See, I was going to suggest that maybe the reason it hasn't done very well is perhaps lack of marketing. They don't have iPads stamped on it, so.
Sorry, I was going to say, in the US, it's on some quite a small channel, I believe. I'm not that familiar with US TV channels, but what I've read is that the channel it's on is not one of the mainstream, most popular TV channels. And so that's possibly why it hasn't done that well. But, you know, and I haven't seen it have major marketing on Amazon Prime. Not the way, you know, the Grand Tour or Mr. Robot has, or Man in the High Castle. They've got a lot of coverage. It's on the homepage of Amazon, on the Amazon Prime homepage, in the app and stuff. Halt and Catch Fire, I just haven't seen that at all. Which is why I think I was actually off work ill. And I was just flicking through trying to look for something to occupy the hours, and found Halt and Catch Fire and binged watched 3 series. Enjoyed it very much.
It's quite odd though, because it's got a good cast.
It does have a good cast. Well-known actors, some of them as well.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Lee Pace, who was in The Hobbit. He was in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Who was he in Guardians of the Galaxy?
In the first one, he's the, I don't know the bloke's name, he's the bad bloke that's like blue or something.
Oh, I know who you mean, I can't remember his name either. But yeah, him, okay.
And Scott McNeary.
And he's been in 13 Years a Slave, and Fargo, and...
He was in that film with Arnold Schwarzenegger, wasn't he, quite recently? Was it called Aftermath?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Mackenzie Davis, she was in The Martian. She's in the new Blade Runner film.
Oh, is she?
Yes. So, you know, there's a good cast there. So, and they're all quite well known.
Well, on that note, I think it's probably time to draw this episode to a conclusion. Anyone have anything else they would like to talk about? Sophie?
Nothing that jumps out at me. I'm usually pretty vocal when I want to say something, being the inane chatterbox that I am.
Dave?
You did miss out Age of Empires, but we can leave that for next time.
I think we've gone through about half of the show notes. We had so many build up as we haven't done an episode for a little while.
We do have a backlog.
We do have a backlog. So if we reconvene relatively shortly, we can get through the other half of the notes. Well.
Until next time, folks.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Thank you. Maybe a lion roaring at the end or something.
I don't know. I think I might already be taken.
Say fuck 'em at the end, but have some kind of lion roar afterwards.
Or a sweaty man banging a large gong, something like that.
Nope. I think that one's just in your mind.
Okay.
I meant to tell you both, actually. Turns out one of Chris's uncles is actually quite a prolific podcaster.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I can't remember what his channel's called. It's not called. I don't think it's called a podcast anymore because he gets paid.
No, you get paid and it'd still be a podcast.
Okay, still podcast then.
Well, I know people who make a living off doing podcasts.
Yeah, I think you probably could.
Yeah, and if you're well known enough, if you're what's that bloke? Joe, whatever his name is, Dave.
Joe?
Yeah, just Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan.
Oh, yeah. UFC bloke.
Yeah, or Sam Harris or something like that. Then
If you're a YouTube star as well, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yes, actually, because wasn't that how they found the new host of Top Gear, of BBC Top Gear?
Yeah, he had a YouTube channel. Absolutely right.
Yeah, he came
Chris
from
Harris.
YouTube.
Chris Harris is very good. He is my favourite YouTubers up until.
I have actually, I've seen a couple of episodes. Well, I don't even think I've seen full episodes, but cool little snippets of the new Top Gear, and they've been quite enjoyable actually.
They're really good. I mean, I do enjoy the Grand Tour, but since they got rid of that ginger bloke, Chris Evans.
Chris Evans. It was
Yeah.
Chris Evans, wasn't it?
Yeah. Then
He was quite shouty.
I didn't like him much.
No, I don't think anyone did.
And since I got rid of him, I don't think I watched any of those actually. But since I got rid of him, I think it's been really invigorated.
Well, I imagine actually that BBC probably really struggled to find new hosts for Top Gear because no one wanted to live in the former trilogy shadow. No one wanted to be the new Clarkson or the new Hammond or whatever, the new May.
I don't know if you remember, but you probably don't remember. But a few years ago, because Top Gear has a very big US audience, so they tried doing an American Top Gear, filmed in America with American presenters. And so what they tried to do is to find 3 car-y blokes and put them in the same sort of situations and do the same sort of things that the UK ones do. And it just didn't work at all. It was dreadful. They actually broadcast it on UK TV at like 2 in the morning on BBC 2 or something, and it was just shockingly poor. And they tried to manufacture the same thing. So what the 3 guys who do Grand Tour now used to do Top Gear is a sort of natural chemistry.
Yeah.
It's very, very hard to manufacture.
People either have that or they don't.
See, what I would have liked to have seen would have been Guy Martin doing it, because it would have been, the programme would have taken a different course.
Yeah, but Dave, you're a Guy Martin fanboy.
Yeah, but so were a lot of people. So, and I don't know if you've watched any of his programmes on Channel 4.
I may have watched 1 or 2.
Nope.
Well, he did a series, didn't it, of challenges. So trying to set new world records, but they're really oddball world records. So trying to jet ski a motorbike over a lake for the longest distance, that kind of thing. But the thing about it is he makes the bike himself. He actually, goes through the process of doing everything. It's not just him jumping on a bike and riding it.
And that's the interesting thing about it, isn't it? Is the whole sort of process that he goes through.
Because there was one, he did a race in America, I think it is. It's a motorbike race, Pikes Peak, which
it's not just a bike race. It's all sorts of vehicles in classes cane up a very large hill.
Yeah, and you run into the problem of, obviously, when you get towards the top of the hill, the altitude changes.
Yep.
And so you can run into problems with your car cutting out or your bike cutting out, or etc. And he made the bike himself from scrap.
Very
That's pretty cool.
That takes some doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think he broke the record for it, even though his bike didn't actually technically work on it.
I'd like to think that he did break the record.
Yes, that would be a nice story, wouldn't it?
Yeah, a nice ending to it.
Yes.
Anyway, gentlemen, I'm going to have to love you and leave you, because my supper is slowly choking me to death.
Okay, lovely. Lovely to meet you.
And you.
Yeah,
I'll see you both soon, guys.
Yep. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye. Okay.
Cool. Was that silence long enough for you to edit?
Perfect.